Welcome, empowered healers. I'm Songbird Grandmother, guiding women and spiritual leaders to clear karmic blocks, awaken higher frequency, and step into empowered living. Today, we're going to dive deep into the times we are living in, the karmic clearing happening all around us, and how what we do now shapes the path forward. Sit back, relax, set your intentions, and know that you are part of something powerful happening in the now. So welcome back. So I invite everyone to take a nice deep breath in and out. And we're going to dive into something that I was sitting at my altar and just feeling into this moment, into this time we're living in. And I've been talking a lot about how we're in the last stage of 2025. And in the ancient calendar, this cycle runs until mid-February when we enter into the fire horse, which is also going to be a solar eclipse time. And from that moment until the spring equinox is when we really transition into the next stage of our existence, the next era, the completion of a 52-year cycle. In some calendars, a 20-year cycle. But right now, we are in the shedding moments of a very powerful time. And this is why we're seeing what we're seeing in the world with all the chaos, disruption, uncertainty, because we're letting go of an old world. And I don't mean that in the new age way where it's kind of idealized and made to seem like, wow, it's this incredible thing where we're just going to step into love and light and kumbaya land. It's not like that. And it's never been like that. If we really look at the ancient calendars, we can see the cycles repeating. We can see how things happen in the end. And they're quite brutal. And most people don't want to hear that in the spiritual communities because we have this need to fantasize or escape. And spirituality is not rooted in escapism. It's rooted in realism and how to take the power of the heavenly forces, the spirit world, to bring them to earth, to move with the winds of change versus moving out of the winds of change and ending up back in a rut because we want to escape. And in this time, it's not about escaping, it's about embodying. These are the moments of embodying true spiritual power, which comes from karma and frequency. So I was sitting at my altar, and there's been a few things that I've seen in the world that I thought were very interesting that really highlight the time that we're living in. And the first is I came across a video of a woman who was doing a social experiment. And of course, as a former psychologist, that's that's what I know, social experiments, and how that was like actually one of my favorite classes in college was where they do all the social experiments to see what people do when they're put in an uncomfortable situation. So this woman, I'm sure many of you have seen, she's calling all these churches and places for help with baby formula, and maybe a handful actually said yes to helping her with the baby formula. But most of the most well-known mega churches and places that are, on the map, so to say, couldn't help, didn't want to help, with a crying baby sound in the background and a woman saying, "My baby hasn't eaten since last night." And there was no help to be seen. And I think that is what we're talking about when we wake up to what is spirituality. Because the places that actually were willing to say yes were not the big places. They weren't the ones that are famous for whatever reason. They were community-centered places. One of them was a mosque. One of them was like a great grandpa. And one of them, was an African American church. I saw different churches that weren't known for a lot of money and power. But when they heard a woman crying for help for her baby, they were immediately willing to respond. This shows us the time we're living in, because I think a lot of people escape into religion with the notion that we're helping people, we're doing good. And then when you see something that blatant, it has to shake your world. It has to you have to look at, what do I really believe? And where am I putting my time, money, energy? Is it going to what I want it to go to? Or is it going to, make somebody else get what they want? This is going to be a very powerful moment that I think is going to ripple into our societies, especially as times get harder and harder. We cannot be frivolous anymore. And this is what karma is doing right now. Karma is the accumulation of good deeds and not so good deeds that create frequency. And the more frequency you have, the more you're able to move society, the more you're able to resolve old karmic debts and create new karmic powers. It's not something that we should fear, but it is something that is rectifying in the collective at this very moment, because we're at the end of a cycle. And there are people who don't believe in karma. There are people that don't know about karma. But regardless if you believe or you don't believe, or if you dismiss it, it is part of universal law that what you do will come back. It will come back. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually it will come back. And a good example of that is the great grandfather who did, answer the phone for this woman needing baby formula and was like, what flavor do you need? What's the name? If I have to go get it, tell me and I'll go get it. And just that simple act of him saying yes from his heart has rippled into the time space of continuum. His karma has returned. And now I'm hearing that church has received thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in donations, touching people's hearts, reconnecting them to their own spirit, to their own giving, inspiring people all over the world. And that's the power. And in these moments of karmic clearing, these are tests. These are tests from the spirit world. These are tests that say, are you ready to hold this frequency because you have accumulated all this good karma. And now it's your moment to receive this accumulated wealth that has been accumulating in the spirit world and is now ready to be received. But can you receive it? So had he been like, no, I'm too busy, I can't, no, I don't know, we don't do that, we don't help, that becomes the spiritual block. And the abundance, instead of going is a positive, for a lot of places, it went into the negative because now they've had to shut down their websites. They've, had to go in front of their congregations and backpedal. They've had to make excuses. And this is a very clear example of what is happening on the, micro and macro levels of society, is that when you have accumulated a lot of what they call spiritual merit, and you don't accumulate spiritual merit because you're expecting that big payday, but you accumulate enough spiritual merit that at some point, all those silent acts go into the registry and are ready to be divvied out. They're ready to be received. They're ready to be given. It's like some kind of interest that builds up, but there will be a test. And you can see it in so many different spiritual stories of different leaders, different spiritual leaders, healers, where there came a moment of faith where everything that they had been doing is put into one moment. And you never know when that moment will come. And it's a test. It's a test of your heart. And this is why I always talk about, you just never know who has the healer's heart. That's part of this process, because I've met so many students over the years, and many of them so gifted, so talented, so unique in whatever they offer. And I never know, are they going to actually launch? Are they actually going to have the heart to do this work? Sometimes it's really surprising at who the spirit world chooses and who is not chosen, because on the outer realms, you can have everything, but on the inner realms, if you're lacking one thing, one precursor, one thing, the spirit world doesn't allow that person to fully initiate. And what I've come to realize is it's the power of the heart. And it's those moments where the spirit world tests you to see your character, your integrity, your beauty, your faith, your courage, your love to help, your love to give, your love to make a legacy, to make this world better. This doesn't mean perfect. Nobody is perfect. This doesn't mean powers of enlightenment or magical thinking. It is how you respond to the calling of suffering. How do you respond when someone asks, can I help you? Can I help you? Can you respond with, can I help you? If someone is suffering, how do you respond? And it's not a give to get. It's just a give to give. And in that moment, when you're really ready to give, the doors to the spirit world open. The problem is the ego, because all gifts are given from the spirit world, not from the ego. People always ask me, is this my power? Is this what I do? Is this how I am? Is it, no. It's what the spirit world has gifted you. And we always have to remember that. The praise doesn't go to self, the praise goes to the spiritual beings and the spirit world and the great mystery that has gifted that to us to give. This is why spiritual healing is a gray spot, because people often mistake what it actually is, because it's unseen. It's not fully valued. And it is very much a consumerist thing in our society, where we give to get, even in our spirituality, as we're seeing, even in churches, even in places of worship, where we give to get. We give our tithing to get heaven. We give our time and energy to look good, to be perceived a certain way, to cling on to a dream. But in this time, the dream is dissolving. The message is how we respond now determines the trajectory of our spiritual and life path. Because everything right now is being reordered and reshaped. And as we head into next year, we are headed into a whole new frequency. And my advice to those of you who are willing to listen, willing to do it, is to let the old fall, let the old karmic debts fall, let whatever is leaving your life leave, and get ready for that new beginning next year. It's not going to be immediate. It's not going to be like, oh, February 17th, 18th is here, and we're we're rocket shipping out of here, and all our karma is done and over with. It never works that way. But what can happen is you can make a conscious decision to raise your frequency by eliminating your karma, by sitting in the silence and asking, what do I need to let go of to enter into this new era? Where am I stingy? Where am I selfish? Where am I not giving? Where am I mistrusting? Where am I like those places that when somebody is suffering, I turn off? Because in this new era, people are going to be really looking at the heart, and it becomes something that is most important is authenticity and the heart. It's going to become very unbecoming to be selfish and stingy and non-caring. the global shifts of the world require community, and it becomes like the old days in indigenous communities. To be stingy and selfish was to be horrible. It was looked upon as what a disgusting thing. It was something that through ceremony, through vision quests, through sitting with the earth, we worked very hard to eliminate. And since childhood, since infancy, people were taught to live together. Like if you ever go to the pueblos or even like ancient ruins, you'll see that weren't really doors and walls like we know it. There were entrances, and then when you went in there were like these big rooms, and people lived in communal spaces completely like next to each other, not separate. There were community living spaces, community ceremonial spaces, community life. And in many ways, I feel like that's what's going to emerge in this new time is community living spaces where people live, work, and congregate in little cities. And that can be both good and bad, but it's going to be the future. We're going to see it over and over and over again. We're going to see neighborhoods demolished and cities emerge that are communal living spaces. And if you see all the apartment buildings, all the condos that are emerging, that's just the beginning. And this is something that is part of the time we're living in. Whether it's good or bad, we can debate, because it's really not something we can stop. I've spent a lot of time looking at that situation and thinking, what is really happening? And it's part of our karmic destiny of what we are creating, because depending on your good acts, good deeds, good actions, good heart, good mind, beauty, as it's known, that determines your future. Are you going to be selfless or selfish? Are you going to think of others or not? Are you going to live in fear, resentment, victimhood, and drama and trauma? Or are you going to live in consciousness, alignment, releasing, empowerment? Are you going to let go of old toxic relationships and thought patterns? Or are you going to choose higher frequency relationships, higher soul mates, soul aligned, soul community oriented relationships? And I know we kind of use that word a lot, of your frequency. And I don't feel like a lot of times people even know what that means. They think it's something they eat or something they think, but rather frequency is very much tied to your behaviors and actions. It actually is not tied to what you think alone or what you feel or your emotions. It's completely tied to your character, your integrity, your heart, and most importantly, your behaviors and your actions. Because in the indigenous world, that was everything. That's what the warrior is, someone who takes action for the good of all, someone whose behavior is stellar, it's beautiful, it's something we want to become. And karma, it's not just cause and effect, it's the imprints that return to us. There is personal karma, there is ancestral karma, and there is collective karma. We can heal personal and ancestral karmas so that our collective karma is not, let's say, so bad. Because there's not a whole lot you can do about collective karma because of the accumulation of all karma. But if you have good personal and ancestral karma, your collective karma won't affect you. It won't be devastating. Now, if you have personal, ancestral, and collective, if you have bad personal and ancestral karma, then you'll be in that boat with the collective. And I don't want people to think, okay, well, my karma is why I don't have a job, or I'm starving, or I don't have a house, or sometimes those are the tests. And that's why we have to go and sit and think, what is going on in my life and what are the steps that I need to take to get my life situation better. Because there's a lot of people right now going through that. There's a lot of people right now, in this moment, struggling to pay bills, struggling to eat, struggling to work, just struggling. And we can't just dismiss that and say, well, that was your bad karma. That's your low frequency. Sometimes people going through those patterns of suffering are for other people to help, to restore. Because we don't know how karma flows. We don't know what has happened in the past to create this in the now. And we don't know how that help now can ripple into the future. You help somebody today, it could come back 10, 20 years from now and be the blessing that you need. It's a spiritual acceleration time. And the karma is clearing on a mass level. And it's coming across as increased sensitivity, synchronicities, challenges, or tests. And they're there to make your character stronger. They're there to empower you on a higher level than if you didn't have those challenges. And it's really in our face. It is really in our face. And not one person is going to be untouched by that, because this is the time to do the shadow work necessary to heal ourselves, to heal our families, to heal our communities, and to heal the world. And so if you are listening to this and you feel like you're ready, then the invitation is, in this next couple months, to take your spiritual practice serious, whatever it is, to sit with the great mystery, to call upon the spiritual forces to get clear on where you have been, where you are now, and where you are going. because next year is the new beginning. And you have an opportunity to start again, to truly heal the patterns of suffering and to flip your karma into your dharma and to heal those cyclical patterns that have haunted you and your family for generations, for aeons. And I see that the spirit world is not far. It is not something that you have to push or force, but it's something that you just receive. It's always here helping you. It's always here. It's not far away. It's not in the next lifetime. It's not something like heaven and hell. It's something beyond sacred. It's special. And if we're lucky, we can get a glimpse into it while we're living. That's really what the medicine path is. That's really what the healer's path is the glimpses that we get, the opportunities to serve, the kindness of a smile, and the healing of the generations. So I want to thank you all for joining me today. And this was a deep one. So I invite you to integrate, to process, to think, to let this medicine seep into your mind, body, and spirit. And to know that when you truly listen, you never make a mistake. If you feel rushed, if you're doubtful, if you're confused, if you're chaotic, don't make any big decisions. Rather, step back, clear your mind, breathe, and listen deep. Listen deep. Listen to what it is that your heart is speaking and that your spirit is guiding. And when you do that, you'll never be led astray. Until we meet again, many blessings. Aho.